If it's your first time in Cancun, there are a few things you will want to know, like where to stay, what to do, how to get around, and the common mistakes that catch tourists off guard. As locals of this region, we've got tons of insider tips to help you make the most of your trip to Cancun. Make sure to stay until the end, where we are sharing the most common scams and how to avoid them.
Gonna fly away, go a million miles.
Starting off with how to actually get to Cancun, you've got the Cancun International Airport, which is located in the town part of Cancun. If you're staying in the hotel zone of Cancun, it's just a 30-minute drive at the very most to get to your hotel. So that would be the most convenient airport to land at.
Even if you go to Cancun downtown, it's 30 minutes from the Cancun airport to Cancun downtown.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you're traveling from anywhere in the world and arriving at Tulum International Airport, which is the newest airport in the state, you can arrive there. You might find cheaper flights. However, it's about 2.5 hours to get from Tulum all the way down to Cancun.
All the way up to Cancun.
Yeah, all the way up to Cancun, yeah, because Tulum is in the south, yeah.
And then in terms of visas, if you're coming from the US, Canada, the UK, most European countries, you'll receive a visa upon arrival. It's nothing that you have to apply for in advance. Usually your agent will just automatically give you 180 days to stay in Mexico, but it is completely up to the agent. Sometimes they'll be stingy and they'll just give you the amount of time that you can prove that you're staying here, but most of the time it's just 180 days. So now you are in Cancun, but you need to move from the airport to your accommodation, wherever your accommodation may be. There are a few ways you can go about this, but it's very important to listen to what we're about to say, because there's a lot of scams that happen at Cancun airport, specifically regarding transportation. I would say the best option, in our opinion, is to use one of the rideshare apps. In Cancun specifically, you've got 3 rideshare apps available to you. You've got Uber, which tends to be much pricier than the other 2. You've got Didi, which we've honestly never used. And then you've got InDrive. InDrive is the app that we use all the time. The thing about the InDrive app is when you request your ride, they'll give you a recommended fare, and then you as the customer have the option to bid on your fare. So if it says your fare should be 130 pesos, you could say, no, I think I'm going to pay 100 pesos. And you put in 100 pesos, then a driver may choose to take your bid. Otherwise, you might just have to add 5 pesos. The only thing to keep in mind with InDrive is that they only accept cash. So you will need to have cash on you. Usually pesos or dollars will be accepted, especially in Cancun.
The only thing while using rideshare apps from the airport to Cancun, there's still a little bit of conflict within the taxi union and these rideshare apps, so you might not be able to be picked up at the main gate or the main door at the airport. If not, you will have to walk a little bit to the parking lot, so you are safe to come to Cancun.
Yes.
The second best option, personally, I think, is the ADO buses. The ADO bus that will take you from Cancun International Airport all the way to Cancun bus terminal. So
which is in town.
Mm-hmm. And from there you can use one of the rideshare apps to go to your hotel if you're in town, or even if you are in the hotel zone.
Yes, but the buses are big, they're clean, they always run on time, they're safe. So
very affordable.
Very affordable. So if you're on a budget, this is also one of the best ways to go about it. Third option would be booking a shuttle. Now with the shuttles, you can either get a shared shuttle if you're on more of a budget, or you can get a private shuttle. The shared shuttles are awesome. The only thing is that you might have to wait around at the airport a little bit, depending on the other people that will be in your bus. If their planes are arriving after yours, you're going to have to sit around and wait a little bit, and also the bus is going to be stopping at this hotel and this hotel and this hotel. But still, a great option. The buses are usually very well maintained. They've got air conditioning. They're privately owned, so you're going to get good service, and they're very safe.
And sometimes the share shuttle against the private shuttle, the price difference might be really insignificant, so you just choose wisely.
Yes, yeah. So then you could get the private shuttle, which is amazing, especially if you have a bigger party. That's probably the most comfortable and luxurious way to move to your hotel.
And they go from the airport straight to your hotel, and they monitor your flight information. So
yes.
The last option, which we do not recommend, the taxis at the airport. The taxis at the airport are the only official vehicles that they can pick up passengers to take them from Cancun International Airport anywhere in the state. However, we find out that they really overcharge. Sometimes they can charge $100 just to go from the airport just to
to a
Cancun
hotel.
town.
I've heard 200, 300. They really take their chances. And then on top of that, they have the audacity to try convince tourists that it is mandatory to tip them, which that is not common practice here at all. Okay, so this next tip is something that we just recently started doing, and I honestly wish we knew about it sooner.
Especially if you're booking hotels online. We discovered that some websites actually change the prices depending where they think you're browsing from.
It's called price discrimination, and it basically means that you can be charged way more for your hotel just because of your location. And this is completely legal, by the way.
It sounds crazy, but it's real.
So now whenever we book anything online, especially hotels or flights, we use a VPN. And if you've never used a VPN before, or a virtual private network, it's basically an application that allows you to change your location online. So websites think that you're browsing from a different country. We specifically use it to check hotel prices in different places and sometimes get way better deals just by switching our location.
You can see here that we looked up the Hyatt Playa de Carmen while our VPN was connected to a server in Houston, Texas. We looked up the same hotel on the same booking platform with the same dates, but this time we had our VPN connected to a server in Mexico and got a much cheaper price. This little trick could help you to save hundreds of dollars on hotels.
And the best part is Surfshark is super easy to use, works on all of our devices, and helps to protect your data while you're on public Wi-Fi, like at cafes, airports, or even at your hotel.
Plus, you can use it on unlimited devices, which works perfect for us. We got it running in both our phones and our laptops.
If you want to try it out for yourself, head to surfshark.com/forthe road or use For the Road to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you've really got nothing to lose. Now that you've arrived in Cancun, you're probably wondering where you're going to stay. Where? So something to understand about Cancun is you've got Cancun town, which is the mainland, which is where everyone who lives in Cancun lives. No one who lives in Cancun really lives in the hotel zone unless they're like maybe the 1%. But town is town. Then the Cancun that you see on social media, the Cancun that everyone is flying here for, is actually the hotel zone. The hotel zone is actually an island that is separated by Laguna Nichupte. It's all joined, but it is a completely separate part of Cancun.
That is correct. And also, in order to stay in the hotel zone, you need to understand 2 things within the hotel zone. If you really want to stay on a hotel that has the beautiful beaches,
The blue water.
the blue water, the Caribbean that is shown in the pictures, you need to stay in this side of the
Yes.
hotel zone. Let's put it as it's a number 7 in the longest part of the 7 digit is where you would like to stay. There is where you're going to find the most beautiful beaches, sometimes like very wide sand shores, blue Caribbean waters.
Yeah.
But in the top of this area is where you find hotels, but the beaches there are
They're okay. I mean, there are
Yeah.
still nice beaches, but from what we've seen, those beaches are very small. You do not have the blue Caribbean water. It's okay, it's clear, but it also looks very rocky. The beaches are okay. That's typically where you're going to find the more budget-friendly, all-inclusive hotels. Yeah, we actually stayed there just a few days ago in the cheapest all-inclusive hotel in Cancun, and it was a disaster. We would highly recommend checking out that video before you book any all-inclusives, especially if you're looking for a deal. If you're looking for a cheap all-inclusive, you might want to reconsider, because there's no such thing as a good cheap all-inclusive hotel. Just check out the video just to see what we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, so you also want to be very discretionary with what hotel you book and what price point you're comfortable with, because like we mentioned in that all-inclusive video that we made, honestly, anything less than $300 a night, you're probably not going to get your money's worth. You're probably looking, if you're looking for a good all-inclusive, or you're looking for an all-inclusive that you're going to get food that you actually want to eat, you're going to have clean facilities, you're going to have things to do, you're going to have entertainment, honestly that $300
$300
mark
above, yeah.
above is pretty much what you're
Yeah.
looking at spending. Otherwise, if you are on a budget, stay in the town. We've been staying in the town. It's actually really nice. It's really easy to move back and forth. We're only spending about $40-50 a night for our business hotel. It's the Ibis. It's been great. Yeah. Okay, so in terms of money, whether you could use US dollars or pesos, if you're coming with US dollars, they are widely accepted in this region of Mexico, specifically in Cancun. You can definitely get by with not even exchanging your money. The only thing to know is if you are spending US dollars, you're going to get pesos as your change. The only thing to keep in mind if you are planning to not exchange your money and just pay for things in US dollars is when you go to individual establishments, they actually actually have the right to decide what their exchange rate is going to be. So say, for example, you're going to El Burrito restaurant, right? And the current exchange rate is 20 pesos to $1. This restaurant might decide, okay, we'll do 17 pesos per US dollar. So it usually doesn't work in your favor. So it is definitely worthwhile to exchange your dollars to pesos.
Where you exchange your US dollars or any foreign currency to the Mexican peso. You can exchange it in Casa de Cambio, which is an exchange hut. Some of the Casas de Cambio have a daily limit up to 300 US dollars per passport. Some of them might not, but as far as we know, this is like the limit per day. If you're staying in a reputable hotel, some hotels, they change also US dollars into pesos with a way more favorable exchange rate than the Casa de Cambio. Some hotels might have a daily limit, some hotels might not. I think this is one of the most important points. Well, everything is important.
Everything's important, yeah. But when it comes down to deciding when to visit Cancun, in our opinion, we've been Giovanni is from this region, but I've been living with him here for almost 5 years, and our personal preference in terms of the weather, in terms of sargassum, in terms of everything, is the end of November to about mid-March.
Correct.
This is technically the winter season, but we are talking about the Mexican Caribbean. It's not that it gets cold at all. You're still getting the bright blue sunny skies, but you are almost completely avoiding sargassum season. You are avoiding hurricane season, and the weather is just so much more pleasant. Like, you're not sweating all the time. It's just very nice. It's very warm and sunny, but not crazy hot and humid. So that's, in our opinion, the best time of the year to visit this region of Mexico. And now there are also 3 other things to consider when you're thinking of when to come to Cancun: sargassum season, hurricane season, and the middle of summer.
And Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Drinko. No, forget that.
Summer is the hottest time of the year here in Cancun. And I mean, if you are looking to visit Cancun for the beaches and you stay there for the entire day, I think summer is not a bad idea.
Yes.
However, if you're thinking to go out for day trips or just take a
look
stroll,
at the ruins,
yeah, things like that.
anything away from the water during the summer season, it is so hot and humid. We once made the mistake of going to the Tulum ruins in the middle of summer. Let me just tell you, I didn't enjoy that day at all. It's just, it gets so hot here from about April to the end of September. You just don't want to be outside unless you're submerged in water. It is very, very uncomfortable. Yeah.
I think the only thing that saves you is going to a cenote.
Yes, but I mean, you have to endure hours and hours of sweating your balls off. It gets very, very hot and humid here in the middle of summer. Another thing to keep in mind is the sargassum. If you haven't heard of sargassum is a type of seaweed. It's brown and smelly, and it collects in big clumps. Sometimes so much collects on the beach that you can't even swim. The good thing, though, about staying in Cancun is because the current is much stronger in Cancun than it is anywhere else in this region of Mexico, is that the sargassum doesn't typically stick around too long here. The sargassum doesn't affect Cancun nearly as much as any of the other big cities or towns along the coast, like Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Akumal, any of that. Sargassum season just a few years ago used to only be for a few months. But from last year already, it was already starting from February until about the end of October. But it is a natural occurrence, so we can't guarantee when it's going to happen.
Yes, it's not scientific proof that this month is going to have more or this month. It's just changing a lot.
Sargassum season just keeps to extend and extend further and further out each year. You're kind of guaranteed between the months of November to January that you'll completely miss the sargassum, but every year it just keeps shifting and expanding. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So hurricanes is another thing that you have to consider, and the hurricane season starts from June all the way to the end of November.
Yes,
Yes.
with the most dangerous months being in September and October.
Okay. That's because the temperature of the water is the highest, so the chances of having a hurricane are.
Or higher in September and October.
From the 5 years we have lived here together, we just have experienced two hurricanes.
Two minor hurricanes.
Yeah.
Nothing
I mean,
crazy.
hurricane can be very disastrous.
Yes. Especially if you're staying right on the coast, on the ocean.
Yeah.
But if the hotel sees an actual risk, I'm pretty sure most of them have some sort of reimbursement policy.
Yeah, and then, I mean, if you're already here, that they're gonna evacuate you and
Yeah.
things like
Yeah, I mean, it's Mother Nature. We can tell you the months that it might happen, but there is no guarantee that it even will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And within the hurricane season also falls the rainy season. So from September to end of October, mid of October is where you will experience most of the rains.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes it rains a lot, but I think the biggest downside with the rainy season is once it's rained, you have not experienced humidity like that. My goodness, the
Yeah.
humidity just gets so uncomfortable after a big downpour that, those months are very, very rough, and we wish that we didn't live in this region over those months. So in terms of actually moving around Cancun, specifically the hotel zone, you've got a few different options. The rideshare apps, which we mentioned a bit earlier, the three that we did say, you've got Uber, Didi and InDrive. You've got taxis, which we already spoke about them, would not recommend. You could do a rental car, which if you're just planning on staying in Cancun exclusively, I honestly think it's a waste of money. I don't think that it's necessary. However, if you are planning on doing a lot of day trips, because there are a lot of things to see outside of Cancun, then a rental car would probably be the most convenient and probably one of the more cost-effective options.
Yeah.
If you are just within the hotel zone, it is completely walkable. It is safe. They've got very nice, big, pretty well shaded walking paths, but it is a pretty long stretch of land, so you are going to be walking a lot, but it is completely possible to walk.
Either you're staying in Cancun downtown or Cancun Hotel Zone, you can also use the public buses. There are two buses there, the red ones and the orange ones. The red ones are a little bit older, not very well maintained.
And they do not have air conditioning.
These other ones, the orange ones, are brand new vehicles. They probably are
Maybe
they're
a year, 18 months old.
and they have air conditioning. That I
And
think
they're much cleaner.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing on them. That's air conditioned, and they're running as we mentioned, and they're very affordable. Are 12 pesos per passenger, and you can hop on and hop off everywhere you want.
Well, not everywhere you want. There are bus stops all along
Yeah.
the hotel zone and in a certain part of Cancun town. But we've been using the public buses our entire journey here, and I think a lot of people come here and they're like, "Oh, public buses, they must be so unsafe," but they're not. Honestly, you're mostly going to find the hotel workers who live in town and have to commute to the hotel zone to work. That's who's mostly using the public buses. But I can just tell you right now, they are not unsafe at all. They're very easy to use, very convenient, and like Giovanni said, very affordable.
Something to keep it in mind is if you are in peak time of the workers coming out from the hotels going home, the buses tend to pack them. So
Yeah, you're going to see lots of people standing along the aisles. So between 5 and 7 p.m, I'd say try avoid them, because that's when everyone is piling in. But any other time of the day, you will get a nice, comfortable seat.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of using them. Honestly, it's part of the experience, but they're so convenient and so affordable. So you might be wondering how long to stay in Cancun. It honestly depends on the purpose of your trip. If you're coming to Cancun specifically to sit in an all-inclusive hotel, enjoy the beach, eat as much as you can, honestly 4 to 5 nights is
Top.
is perfect for that. Something to keep in mind about Cancun specifically is it was specifically designed as an all-inclusive destination. There is really not much else to see and do within Cancun. There's all-inclusive hotels,
Restaurants.
luxury restaurants, a
Shopping
little bit
mall.
of shopping, the beaches, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. However, if you're coming to Cancun to explore the region of the Riviera Maya, 9 to 12 days I think will be enough time.
Sufficient. You could
Yeah.
definitely stay longer, but 9 to 12 days will give you a good amount of time to see and do the best of what's available here.
Yeah.
Which again, if you are looking for guidance on what to see and do within the Riviera Maya, would definitely recommend picking up our 9-day Riviera Maya itinerary and map.
And you support our channel by buying that. Okay, things to do in Cancun. What would you do if you come to Cancun? Of course, the beaches. The beaches here in Cancun, I think, is the highlight
highlight.
of, like, whenever you are planning Cancun, what is the first thing comes to your mind? The beaches, those turquoise beaches we're talking about. There are 3 particular beaches we recommend that we visited, and for us, the number 1 is Playa del Fines, which
Yeah.
is where the lookout point or mirador and the Cancun letters are. Typically, that beach is very, very busy. If you go there, recommend to go as early as you can, because you can also get the free palapas, like
Yes.
shaded, like
Yeah, the
breath.
free shading, yeah.
And for the view is incredible there.
Yes,
I love it.
very
I love it. It has
beautiful.
like a lookout point and like a little cliff area.
Yes,
we'll say.
not a cliff, it's a man-made thing, but you can't beat the views from there, unless you're staying in an all-inclusive hotel that's on the beach, but...
Yeah. The second one will be Playa Chacmol, which is more in like the middle of the hotel zone. The beach is very, very nice.
The water is a lot calmer at Playa Chacmol versus Playa del Fines. The only thing to know about Playa del Fines, the water is so blue and so beautiful, but the waves and the currents is actually stronger than what you might think. Yeah.
Playa Chacmol is more calm. I think it's more family friendly, I would say. And also the convenience to have restaurants and stores close by where you can go and get some drinks.
Everything's in walking distance. Yeah.
And the third beach that we visit and we recommend, it will be Playa Forum Beach. This is more if you're looking for a party vibe, because it's located very close to the main beach club areas, which is Cocobongo Party, Mandala Beach, and another less known, but still it's a little bit busy there.
It's a little bit busy, but also it's right next to Playa Chacmol. So you've also got that beautiful calm blue water, but definitely more of a noisy young people's kind of beach. Yeah. Another thing to do is obviously visiting the shopping malls, especially if it's a rainy day. You've got two main shopping malls to choose from. You've got Plaza La Isla, which is the older one. It's very colorful, very lively. It's just out on the Laguna. You've got a lot of restaurants there as well. The restaurants are typically all right along the Laguna. We actually ate at La Parrilla restaurant the other day, which is a Mexican restaurant. The food was very good, the service was really good, and we'd actually recommend going there for the sunset, because the sunset sets over Laguna Nixchipte, so that would be fun. Otherwise, there's the brand new Puerto Cancun, which is absolutely stunning. Like, honestly, if you didn't know better, you would think that you're in Miami. It's so beautiful, it's very luxurious. You're going to find very, very nice restaurants, upscale stores. So it's a very cool place. Also, if it's a rainy day, they've got cinemas and an arcade there too.
And if you go to the cinemas, get the Dorito and caramel popcorn mix.
Combo, yes, so good.
Another thing that you can do is having a local experience, which will be going to Parque Las Palapas. This is a park where you can taste some of the local cuisine. It's a way to also immerse yourself in the culture of Mexico as well.
So something to know about Parque Las Palapas is it's located in town, and they're pretty much only open for dinner time. And this is where locals go, and they go and get local affordable dinner. You've got the seating. It's a cool experience.
If you're looking for some local dishes to taste, we can say panuchos, salbutes, tacos of course, huaraches, quesadillas, elote, marquesitas.
Marquesitas. If you get a marquesita, we always recommend the queso de bola, which is a sharp cheese with Nutella. It sounds crazy, but it's delicious. And if you find a lady selling chicharrones, which are like what are the chips made out of?
It's flour.
Flour-based chips that they deep fry, and then they put salsa valentina on top. The salsa valentina is like a spicy peppery sauce. It's amazing. I am completely addicted to salsa valentina. Definitely try that. That's a great snack.
Even a little bit popcorn.
I do. Salsa valentina con palomitas. Chef's kiss. So now that we've spoken about what you can do within Cancun, there's also so many day trips that you can take from Cancun that are not even an hour away. Number one would be going to Isla Mujeres, which is translated to Woman Island. That is just a quick 30-minute ferry ride from the hotel zone of Cancun, and it is absolutely amazing. I think we've been back to Isla Mujeres maybe 5 or 6 times. We love it so much. It is definitely more of like an authentic Mexican experience, because this island is just so wildly different to Cancun. Cancun is very, very much constructed, whereas Isla Mujeres, you're going to find all the colorful little buildings, the very small little walkways, the very small roads, the thousands of cables above your head. Beautiful. But besides that, the beaches in Isla Mujeres are completely different to the beaches that you'll see in Cancun. They are a lot more calm. It's kind of like a natural swimming pool. You can pretty much lay in the water. That's how calm the water is. The water is super clear, super blue. The sand is so powdery. Isla Mujeres is so much fun. You can also do an island tour of Isla Mujeres. The island is actually small enough to drive around in a golf cart within about 90 minutes. Definitely would recommend Isla Mujeres. It would definitely be a mistake to come to Cancun and miss Isla Mujeres.
If you want to go to Isla Mujeres and you don't want to spend the entire day there, you can also go on a sailing trip that they at the end of the trip they take you to Isla Mujeres for 1.5 to 2 hours, and that would be another way to experience this island.
Next up is a little island that people don't really seem to know about. It is very easily the most beautiful place that we've experienced in this entire region, and we, I think, have done pretty much all there is to offer in this region. This island is called Isla Contoy. This tiny little island is actually a protected national park, so they only allow 200 visitors per day, and you can only get to the island via accredited tours. So the tour that we went on was absolutely stunning. We stopped over at Isla Contoy, and on our way there, the sail over there, because it is located right on the barrier reef,
Mesoamerican barrier reef.
the Mesoamerican barrier reef, there is so much marine life there that we actually saw a pod of dolphins, we saw a giant manta ray, we saw turtles, and that was just on the way there. And then we arrived on the island, and it is honestly like a virgin island. It is absolutely stunning. We saw starfish. We'd highly recommend this tour. It's one of the best things we've done here.
Yeah. Or if in season, the whale shark tour is also another tour we recommend.
Yes, yeah, the whale shark tour is amazing, but yeah, you can only do it at certain times of the year. Another thing that you just absolutely cannot miss if you come to this region is visiting the Xcaret parks. In total, there are 7 Xcaret parks, with Xcaret Park being the main park. We'd highly recommend that one. That one's great if you want to get a chance to swim in the cenotes and experience a lot of like very beautiful cultural shows. And then in addition, what are the other 2 parks?
And Xelha and Explore. Xelha is a water park, and Explore is more like an adventure adrenaline park.
Yes, and Shanghai gives you the opportunity to eat and drink all day long, where Explore is more like a zipline park where you'll zipline over the Mayan jungle. It's absolutely beautiful, definitely for adventure lovers.
Another day trip that you could do is visiting Playa del Carmen, which is the town where we live. And Playa del Carmen is way different than Cancun. It's way smaller. It's more like a little town still.
Super walkable. You've got the Fifth Avenue, the famous Fifth Avenue, which is a 5-mile pedestrian walkway. You've got beaches. The beaches in Playa del Carmen are completely different to the beaches that you'll see in Cancun. And it's only about an hour down the coast from Cancun. Last but not least would be visiting the Mayan ruins. You've got 2 main ruin sites that you can visit. Either the ruins of Tulum. Those ruins are unique in the fact that they are the only Mayan ruins that are right on the coast, so you've got a beautiful view of the ocean, but those are a lot smaller in comparison to Chichen Itza.
Yeah, in terms of terrain, yes.
Yes, and then Chichen Itza, which is obviously one of the 7 wonders of the world, that's very impressive.
And the main Mayan city for the Mayan culture back in the days. Our main tip on visiting these 2 Mayan sites is avoid going on a Sunday when Mexican citizens have free access, so they therefore will be more crowded.
If we had to choose between the 2 ruins, I would say Chichen Itza. I mean, it is one of the 7 wonders of the world for a reason. It's much bigger, there's a lot more to see, it's very interesting.
We recommend these 2 tours from the Xcaret company that offer tours to Tulum and Chichen Itza. Highly recommend, so you can also enjoy cenotes on your visit as well.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about transportation, food, anything like that. You can do it on a bit more of a budget, but it's a little bit difficult to move around and figure out food and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when it comes to eating street food here in Mexico, you obviously run the risk of getting sick, contracting what you would call Moctezuma's revenge, which basically means traveler's diarrhea. I mean, it is avoidable to an extent. Our main tip is when you're eating street food is don't choose the quiet street food stands. Choose the street food stands that are busy, but also choose the street food stands that are preparing the meat there and then. There's a lot of street food stands that will have the meat prepared and sitting for hours and hours, and they just kind of assemble it when you buy it. Try to avoid those ones. But if you were to get sick, the best thing that we can recommend is keeping yourself super hydrated. You can get these electrolyte drinks at any convenience store. And then there's also a medication called Treda, Treda. That's great for helping to settle your stomach.
Yeah.
In terms of tipping culture, tips are so important for the service staff here. Speaking from personal experience, Giovanni has worked in the service industry here. Working in high-end hotels, people are maybe earning $25 to $30 a day, but the service staff that are working in restaurants and in low-end hotels, some of them are literally only earning about $10 a day. So your $1 tip it makes a big difference for them. Like literally these families rely on the generosity of the tourists visiting. Also for those of you who are staying in all-inclusive hotels, you know, everything's already paid for, so you don't typically carry money around with you. We'd recommend carrying money on you, and every single interaction you have, at least giving $1, $2, you know, just something, because it makes a huge impact for those families who rely on the tourism industry in this region of Mexico.
How much you should give? Range from 10 to 20%. It's up to you, however you
Yeah.
feel the service.
Yes.
It goes along.
And something to keep in mind is restaurants here don't include gratuities unless you've got a very large party. So tip is always an addition.
Yeah. And gratuities or tips are not mandatory per law, so they
Yes.
cannot force you to.
To tip, yeah. Although keep in mind what we just said a little bit earlier. In terms of staying safe in Cancun, Cancun is not this scary, horrible place that the news likes to make out that it is. There are just a few things to keep in mind. Number one, this has got nothing to do with humans, but the big Laguna Nixucte, that separates the hotel zone and the town part of Cancun, is full of crocodiles. Do not swim in there. There genuinely are a lot of crocodiles in there. But moving on to like the human aspects of safety now.
Yeah.
So in terms of the cops, they do tend to be a little bit corrupt in this region of Mexico. Obviously, there's nothing you can do if they stop you. But if they do stop you, what they tend to sometimes do is empty out your wallet while they're at it. So the only thing that you can really do here is be calm, remain respectful, and don't carry too much cash on you, because, I mean, if a policeman is stealing money out of your wallet, there's nothing you can really do about it. All you can do is not carry too much on you. And then in terms of walking around at night, the beach zone is pretty okay to walk around at night. I wouldn't say walk around after like 9 p.m. unless you're in the party zone. The party zone is fun. But everything is well lit, it's all right. But when it comes to Cancun downtown, we just really wouldn't recommend. Oh, there's a koti.
There.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Koti.
Another thing, if you are coming to Cancun, if you are going to the beach, your belongings. Don't
Yes.
leave your belongings just at the beach and
go in the water. Yeah.
Unless you buy one of these waterproof bags, you put all of your belongings and then you take it with you in the ocean. So.
Yeah, that's Giovanni and I never go in the water at the same time, because we never leave our stuff unattended on the beach,
Yeah.
because theft on the beach is something to
Hasn't happened to us, or we haven't
because
seen
we
it
never
personally.
because we never leave our stuff.
But we haven't seen it personally in the places where we have spent our time at the beach.
But we know that it happens often.
Yes, so
Yeah.
just for you to keep that in mind.
We don't say this to scare you guys, it's just better to be prepared. And we just want you to know that Cancun and Mexico in general is not this scary, dangerous place that you might think it is. It's wonderful. Of the 5 years I've lived here with Giovanni, I've never encountered anything negative. I've never had a situation where I felt uncomfortable or unsafe. So
Yeah.
there's that.
We make this for you to have a better experience of this region.
Yes. Unfortunately, the side of Mexico is known to be scam-ridden. It's a bit of a rotten region of Mexico, to be honest. But if you're aware of the scams, then you can completely avoid them. So we're just going to share some of the most common scams with you, just so that you can be well prepared. When you go to restaurants and you receive your final check, if you feel like your final check is a bit higher than what you originally expected it would be, ask to see a menu. Because sometimes what they do is they'll have $10 for a burger on the menu, but then they'll charge you $13 on your final check for the burger. So just always double check your checks, and always make sure that they haven't added additional items, because they do that sometimes. Something else when it comes to restaurants, when you eat in large parties, something that's actually happened to us before, and we've heard from subscribers happening to them too, is we ate in a large party and then a couple left before everyone else, but they had paid their check. But the server at the end of the night said no, they hadn't paid anything. So then we ended up paying, double for them. That happens quite often when you're in big parties.
And when you pay in cash.
And when you
because
pay in cash, yes.
When you pay in cash as well, not only in restaurants, in any establishment, make sure how much you are giving to the person who is charging you. Because sometimes they take the cash and say, okay, you gave them 500, and say, no, you give me just 20 or 100 or any lower bill, which it can happen.
So just be a little bit more aware when you're paying in cash with exactly the bills that you're paying with. So now when it comes to booking tours, you'll notice that there are just hundreds of vendors, and they'll come up to you and they have their
Boards.
little boards explaining their tours, and they'll sell you a tour. But what actually often happens is they'll sell you the tour, they'll tell you, okay, come back in 3 hours and meet us at this location, and then you come back in 3 hours and no one is there. They just scammed you. So we actually never ever book tours through these independent tour operators. We always book online. Get Your Guide is our number one pick. We always book off of Get Your Guide. You can actually check out all of our top recommended tours by scanning up here. But in addition, you could also use TripAdvisor and via Viator. We really like to book online because in addition to being guaranteed that the tour is actually legit, is that there's always a ton of reviews that you can read through just to make sure that the tour is actually a quality tour in the first place.
Also in this region you will find a lot of vendors selling jewelry that either they say it is real gold or real silver, or at the end of the day it is not.
Yes, we've never experienced this ourselves, but we've had so many subscribers comment on our videos saying that I bought a silver ring when I was on the 5th Avenue in Playa del Carmen and paid the price of a silver ring, got home only to find out that it's tarnishing and it was never silver in the first place. We've received that comment so many times. So when it comes to buying gold and silver jewelry here, rather just avoid it.
Yep.
We really hope that this guide gave you all the insight that you need for visiting Cancun or the Riviera Maya for the first time. If you have visited this region before and you've got other helpful tips to share, please share them below because it's always so helpful for the community. In addition, if you're traveling here and you're planning on seeing more than just Cancun, consider picking up our 9-day Riviera Maya itinerary and map.
If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed to our channel. That being said, we'll see you in the next episode.
Hasta luego.